Grief Connection. I am so excited today to connect you to my good friend, Alannah Boyle. Alannah, how are you doing today?
I am, I'm excited to dive into this. I think this is going to be exciting for us.
We always have good chats anytime we connect, hey?
Hmm.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so Grief Connection, Alannah is an incredible therapist who deals and supports individuals with ADHD. And I have such passion about her work. I can't even put words to it because as an adult with ADHD, I didn't discover my ADHD until I learned about my children's ADHD. And the more I watch her content and take part in your information that you share, I see pieces of myself. It is incredible. Before we dive into all that, Alannah, I want to share how you and I connected because it was many years ago now when I first started. Alannah came to me for a reading, and I really was inspired by her heart, by her way of processing and analyzing herself and others and her experience in this life. And not only that, the love that you lead with, you really are passionate about everything that you do. And I just see your heart extended into everything in your work. And I love it. As a energy reader, I'm just saying she's kind of magical.
How am I supposed to talk to you after that like lovely intro?
God, this is amazing. And we've gotten to know each other quite well through the years, through events and experiences and connections. And I couldn't think of a better individual to share the grief of ADHD and the connection points around it. You really are the forefront in this industry for me. So, no
Oh,
pressure.
that is, sheesh. First you tell me I'm amazing in myself, and then
I love it. I love it. Alannah, can you share with everybody before you got your diagnosis of ADHD, who you were and what that kind of transformed into you being afterwards?
that's interesting how you put that, just because of like the who you are piece and the who you are
Mhm.
after piece. And not much has changed, which is a weird way to put it. It just gets focused differently for myself,
I love that.
right? So in times um prior to diagnosis, like I just felt like I was running into walls all the time. Like I was always in trouble. I was running into like doors, like there was always a stop. There was just basically signs of like, hey, this isn't the right path for you.
Yeah.
But with ADHD, there was so much emotional dysregulation with it, right?
Yeah.
Like I was a terrible person and this shouldn't be happening to me. And I'm working so hard. Why can I not have this life that I want to live, or that I feel that I'm deserving of, or I'm not a terrible person? So why does this keep happening to me? And I was in a helping profession. So I think
Oh.
that made it worse too. Like I'm giving back, I'm helping all these people, but yet I can't get ahead. I can't, So there was still, like, as you mentioned, that passion piece, that leading with my heart piece, all of that was there. Um, there's just a lot of negative or like bumpy roads to get to my diagnosis, with addictions, with job loss, with like even rejection from schools and universities and things like that, right? Relationship struggles, in terms of, well, whether it was romantic or just friendships or what, there was struggles in that, being
Yes.
understood, right?
Yes.
um
Did you find growing up that you were always supporting other people? Like they would kind of magnetize to you
um
for
Maybe in
information or,
different ways,
right?
but I was more quiet. Like, actually, I had a conversation with a high school student not too long ago. A high school student, a person I went to high school with.
Yeah.
I had talked to high school students every day, actually.
Yeah.
But and like they talked about my leadership qualities, whereas like lately I have been looking back, and I feel like I only spoke when I needed to. Like
Mm.
I was also like times that co-captain or captain of volleyball teams or ball teams or things like that. But I supported people differently. I was always the designated driver. I was the person, like, I looked after people in
Yeah.
that way. Um, I always had a really good friend, whether it was in high school or in university. I always had like that body double that we know in ADHD now. That person was always there. So it almost felt like now looking back, they looked after me. But
Wow,
yeah,
that's
they did the talking for me.
interesting.
They did the talking for me. They talked for me because my words, like I wasn't confident enough. Like I wouldn't have done this in high school. I wouldn't speak in public in high school. I wouldn't even speak if the teacher talked, like I
Yeah.
would, but I'd be scared to death that I was saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing. Right.
Yes. Oh
I
my
was confident.
goodness.
I was confident in sports. That was probably the only places that I was confident. Right. So those were,
That's incredible. I'm just having some realizations in my journey
oh,
just
yeah.
through you saying that. That makes
Yeah.
so much sense.
It's crazy. It's crazy when we look at it. Right. It's so, yeah.
Wow, that's very validating for me. So thank you for that because I think a lot of people there's a lot of misinformation around ADHD or not understanding because even just the schooling or intake knowledge or how we learn, I always heard the communication, you're very smart, you better work harder next year.
Yeah.
Right? And it's interesting, even as an adult, being a businesswoman and having a career, I really struggle with all the different components I have to manage, intake, learn, output. Like, if people knew the simple task of writing an email, how hard it is for an ADHD person.
I'm laughing because, yeah, it is. It is the most, yeah, it's the most
And
daunting, difficult thing to do.
right, and to communicate in a way that people can receive it
Mhm.
because our brains work so different.
It's interesting talking about that. When I was in university, um, I can't remember when phones first started coming out, but I was on my phone quite often, more than other friends. But my one friend from university said to me, like, she was grateful that I started texting because I was able to express myself more.
Wow.
Yeah, like she did, like we were friends, but she didn't know like things, and it wasn't until like I was able to text to express it, right? And still, like, it's crazy how there's different modalities that help each one of us. But even today, like if I was to sit down, like I can talk, but if I
Yes.
was to sit down, none of this would come out. Like it wouldn't, like I this it doesn't work that way. It's just, it's interesting, but I can write if I want to write. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just how we process everything is different for each individual with ADHD, and then it puts into like negative internal messaging most of the time.
This is very interesting. So when somebody wants to kind of learn and understand, perhaps I am ADHD, maybe these struggles aren't me. What do you think the first steps are people should do to kind of either get information or get assessed? Like, how would somebody proceed with that? Because for me, I didn't learn about ADHD until my children got diagnosed. And
Which
I
is typical for most women. Like honestly, it's very typical. The actual average age for women is 38 to be diagnosed with ADHD.
Wow.
Yeah.
Think about how much time and the critical years that we're trying to navigate. And that whole time, we're thinking we are the issue in our lives. And we have that probably, you have that communication everywhere coming back to you
All the time.
that we are failing.
Yeah. And just think, so many women use perfectionism to 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 put that out there, right? Like that they are okay, that right?
Yeah.
So like you can't be perfect 100% of the time, like 24/7 without
Why
like,
would you want to be, honestly?
I don't know, I tried for a while, it didn't work for me, but like but that's the thing, is that the way it works, and this is one of the reasons I'm very passionate, I can be very vocal about it, is that I want people to know they have ADHD. I'm not like pro, like, let's put the label on it, give them
Yeah.
medication, that sort of thing. I
Yeah.
want people to know so that they can navigate their brain, their systems the way they need to, without
Yeah.
getting that messaging that they're a terrible person, that there's something wrong with them, because that is very hard to get rid of when you're 30 some years old, or however old you are in that. And so like
Yeah.
those pieces, plus it's well documented in research that people with ADHD like uh, have early death. They are, they engage in high risk behaviors. There's all of these things. And so like, why wouldn't we want to know that earlier than to try to understand it and then work our way backwards to like, oh, that's why I did that in elementary school. Oh, that's why, I was doing that in high school, or that's why I started drinking or using drugs or whatever the situation may be.
Yes, that's amazing. It's very interesting too, because even just looking at a poster in the pediatric office of being a high school dropout, early pregnancy, all these different aspects, I was every single one on there.
Yeah.
I'll never forget being 20 years old with a baby in my arms, looking at this poster going, wow, what is this? What is this ADHD?
Yeah. And it's crazy because everyone looks at it. And I talk about this in my group. I talk about this all the time with women about it being a life management problem, like difficulties life managing for women compared to the little boy who is behavior, right? And
Yeah.
so that's where the difficulty comes in when we're looking at the difference between men and women or boys and girls, right? Is because it looks different for females.
Wow, that's very interesting. So, do you notice that a lot of women don't get diagnosed and really are challenged with it? Or do you notice a difference between the genders at all in this regard?
I noticed I feel like we didn't answer one of the other questions. We ADHD'd our way through
Oh,
it. I noticed there's a bigger difference in the combined type of ADHD, so the inattentive and the hyperactive in males, that there is more difficulty in treating,
oh, can
right? So
you break that down so people who don't know what those mean?
there's three types of ADHD. So there's an inattentive type, so that's more like um daydreamy kind of thing, you forget to do things like that. The hyperactive is more like the bouncing off, is the stereotypical one in a lot of ways, like the bouncing off the walls and impulsive and interrupting people and very talkative. And so then the third one is the combined, so those two together, right?
Mm,
And so that is where I see there's a lot more difficulty in treatment, whether it's medication or whether it's I don't like this phrase, but behavior management,
yeah.
like different things for those kiddos.
Hmm.
That presentation usually you see in young boys. However, females can still be combined. It just looks so different. They're just
Yes.
less outwardly, and that's why there's the bigger difference for the males.
Interesting. Interesting. Now, this is fascinating to me because I have two sons who have this and one child who does not. And my last child does not have any ADHD symptoms. And I have to tell you, the parenting between the difference of children is night and day.
Yeah.
Like the experience of being a parent to a child with ADHD is very different management,
Yeah.
and how you show up and being there and supports and frustrations, like the emotional challenges as a parent raising a child with ADHD versus somebody who is not. I am shocked at the difference.
It is crazy, right? Because like again, if you look at it, say like for people who aren't aware they have ADHD as parents, or to find out that they do have ADHD and then to parent a kiddo with ADHD, like that kid might just need some sort of like to be soothed by their parent, which is overstimulating for the parent. Like it's yeah, like to
Can
walk
we
through that life has to be one of the hardest things in the world.
I
Because
I love that. I love that because it's true.
yeah, I don't think your needs are ever the same. Like, oh, you need to be self-soothed. Oh, I'm here for you. No, it's like, okay, I need to figure out how I can be there for you before I can be there for you, because like
Wow. Can we just say that again?
no, because I forgot it.
I need to know how to be there for you but I need to know how to be there for you before, right? So it's like supporting your needs so that you can show up for your child's needs.
100%. And that's what like, honestly, that's what I talk about when we're looking at ADHD all the time. You need to understand
Wow.
ADHD before you can ever, right? Like if you as a parent don't know ADHD, how can you support your child?
Oh, I love this. How are you creating that space for people to understand this then? With
Um,
your workshops, right?
yeah, with my workshops, with like one-to-one, like I do. The other night we had an amazing speaking event in Regina. It was an ADHD awareness, and thankfully for other small businesses, they said, hey, Alannah needs to be at this place. And yeah, it was a great night. And it was weird for me in the sense that I really didn't know the speakers. I knew one of them. No, knew two of them, but I didn't know anybody in that room. I was like, this is crazy for me to be in our city and not know people in this room. And this is all I do all day long is talk about ADHD. This is all I do. Well, not all, but
Yeah.
97% of what I do is ADHD related, whether it's helping people understand if they have ADHD, helping
Mhm.
people navigate ADHD, what processes they might need to go about to get about finding out if they have ADHD. And that was your question. I thought we kind of ADHD
Oh,
around.
right.
And like, and part of it was it's a hard question for me to answer because I feel like I'm supposed to say go to your doctor first, but it might be a good place to start. It
Yeah.
is, again, like if for most women it is their children getting diagnosed. There are people who can help, like I help people navigate, not necessarily navigate those systems, but become more aware of them, and I help them because I can't diagnose. I help them kind of
Yeah.
see, like here's some symptoms that you might be missing, or before you spend the money, these are some, here's some other things to look at that might be showing up for you. Like for instance, like me with drinking and using drugs, or me with like having those body double people in high school and university, right? Like if
Yeah.
people are bringing just these odd little things, like, yeah, that's a part of it.
Wow.
So
That's
yeah, so
amazing.
just finding different supports. And like in Regina now and throughout provinces, we do have like the nurse practitioners that can diagnose. We have psychologists that can diagnose, psychiatrists and family doctors can diagnose, right? So there is quite a few people out there that are able to diagnose. It's just navigating which system works best for you and where you're at.
Yes. That's interesting. So do you know about medication then? Like, do you know how to communicate it? Because I think there's a lot of misunderstandings about the benefits of medication.
I know a little bit, like I basically know my story, right? So in my
Yeah.
profession, like talking about medication is not what we're trained to do, right? And
Yes, yes. So we
um
don't want any misinformation, but just even just a
no,
perspective on
yeah.
it, right?
My perspective is like I think medication is very beneficial for people. It helps like have the neurotransmitters going to the right places and doing the things that you need to do. Is there holistic treatments or supplements and stuff? 100%. And then there's also um like exercise and like things that bring dopamine into our brain naturally, right? And so I honestly think it ends up being a combination of all of those things that benefits us the most, right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
we also have to look at different things like maybe it's chiropractic care or massage care, or like different things like that that are going to help in regulating our nervous system and helping us navigate those pieces. Because again, people with ADHD usually have a complex story. There's like it isn't just ADHD. There isn't that, especially undiagnosed people with ADHD, there's a lot of like trauma and other complications that come into play there. So it's really important to help navigate some of those pieces too. And
Please share more about that because I don't think people realize kind of the grief components that come up with ADHD because we go through life and there's a lot of dialogue around how we fail.
yeah,
From early on in my life, that was a very consistent communication, no matter where I was. And if I got corrected from somebody else external, I felt so much shame because I was failing and I was recognizing I was stepping out of alignment of what people needed me to be.
That's the and that's where people step into that perfectionism world, right? I'm going to do everything perfectly so that I don't
Yeah.
have to feel these things, and that I'm not creating disappointment. I'm not in all of that messaging, right?
Yes. And the
And
whole
so
time you're wanting validation and love. That's the thing.
that's all we ever want, right?
Right?
So that, I think that's the hard part. And the other part is walking through life with undiagnosed ADHD, knowing you know things.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wasn't able to get a master's in university, but society would tell me that means I'm not smart.
Yes.
And I have never met a person who has told me that I'm not smart.
Oh,
So besides myself, maybe at times, right?
right?
And so if we're looking at it through these lenses, there's so many pieces of Main Street that's showing us that we're failures, right? And showing and playing a piece of that. And it comes back into how we process, how our brains work, how we take in information, how we, have that output of information, all of those things. And I bet you the only reason, I can't remember why I didn't get in, but one of the reasons would have probably be because I couldn't articulate my thoughts enough,
Yeah.
put it into this application, or I didn't even understand this application enough to answer it properly.
Yes.
Because there could be a question there and I could be like, well, I could answer this 5 different ways. And
Yes.
so like there's all of these pieces. And so when we look at it from that grief perspective, we're always with the late diagnosis, we're like, oh, that was my ADHD. So I think we're like constantly going through grief
Yeah.
in the sense of like letting go of our past self that used to show up in a way that we didn't know was wasn't supposed to be showing up that way, or wasn't
Supported the way
supported.
that could have
Yeah,
made an impact, right?
yeah, yeah, right, like understood, or again, just like you're a bad kid, like if you can't do this, you're a bad kid. If you're,
Yeah.
like you're taking too many risks, so now there's something, like there's something wrong with you, and all of those things. And so I think learning about ADHD helps us to unravel some of those pieces and to accept
Mhm.
those pieces of us that we were just trying to, maybe we were trying to regulate, maybe we were trying to like have a little bit more dopamine. Think about somebody with like disordered eating. I was trying to calm myself, so I was having a little bit more food. Or people with ADHD are often tired, like they expend so much energy that they're going to be eating pasta and carbs and all the things, right?
Yep.
That comfort, all that comfort food, which isn't great for us, but we're learning that is kind of helping our brain to keep us going, because
Hmm.
our brain can't keep us going because it's been thinking too hard while we've been sitting in school for 6 hours.
Yeah. Or the impulse too.
Oh, yeah.
Because I found that even when I was trying to change my eat, the impulse of the grabbing, intaking, and then afterwards being like, oh my God, I was totally disassociated
Mm-hmm.
during that. And then the regret, and you go through this whole patterning of cycling of grief through that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's nuts when you see how much grief shows up in a day-to-day experience when you're correlating it to ADHD and just the general aspects it has.
Yeah. And I think also, and this is something that we like, the rejection sensitivity piece of ADHD, I think, is a huge component of grief, right?
Yes.
And how it makes it very difficult. Because again, usually with the rejection, like if you're rejected, or maybe somebody does pass or something happens, you take it personally, and that's more of a like a frustration or what's wrong with me, rather than like going through the natural phases of grief too, right? So
Oh my God, Alannah, like I just love you. No, this is so true. And you know what's interesting about that? I find even just looking at either what clients are experiencing or my pattern, like we tend to overwork or disassociate or push through, and then all of a sudden it shows up, because grief is the most patient emotion out there. And it'll just show up at these random pieces. And are we going to hold space with it? Are we going to acknowledge it? Does that make sense for you?
Yeah. And that's and it's so big, like it's a big emotion too, right? So like it takes its time and it shows up. Like there's been time in pieces of my grief that I think I'm crazy. And I am a bit crazy. Like I'm quite fine if people call me crazy or weird or whatever, but I mean in the sense of like the old fashioned like crazy.
Yeah.
Like that I'm like seeing things or hear like what is going on with me,
Mm.
because it is that slow, like it's like a slow burn. You just never know when it's going to show up and how it's going to affect you. And like, I thought I was fine kind of thing.
Isn't that true? And interestingly enough, as a psychic medium, I have noticed that a lot of people with ADHD are heightened connected. They
Mhm.
have learned to be an empath out of trauma
Mhm.
and read and sense a room before they walk into it. Do you see a lot of those kind of energies with it too?
Oh, 100%. Like, yeah, it's, and I think you and I have chatted about this before, but it's also partly because people with ADHD or that are neurodivergent will have a smaller window of tolerance. So they're easy to flip into those hypervigilant states or those numbing out kind of states.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, our nervous system is fun.
That's interesting. So, can you describe both those states for people?
So, like, our window of tolerance would be that where we're making good decisions, where we're feeling safe, where we can make, like if you ask me a question, I can give you an appropriate kind of answer, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We're flipping out of those states, we can go into like the more anxious state, right? Where we're more hyper vigilant, where we are like paying attention to um kind of those things that you were talking about, but more like not just because I just heard something. It's not just a distraction. It's like the feeling and the ability to know when danger's coming, right? So again,
Yeah,
trauma response types of states, right? And then the other one is that more dissociative, numbing kind of shutting down state.
that is fascinating. So, with a lot of people who know people who are ADHD, what do you think is important for them to recognize in supporting us?
That's a good question.
Right?
And I think I find it hard to answer because I don't like care if anyone has ADHD or not. Like
Yeah.
I just like to support people. So like in my work, there's times that it's really hard for me not to be like, you need to get assessed for ADHD because that's going to help you. But
Yeah.
in my walking day-to-day life, like I don't need to know that you have ADHD for us to have a conversation or for me to be like, hey, Opie, are you okay today? Like, is there
Yeah.
anything I can do for you? Or is there anything you need from me? And I don't typically talk like that, but like that's what I mean. But in that sense, that's what I mean, right? And so
Yeah.
I don't for us to be present and patient within ourselves as humans,
Yeah.
being grounded. Like I honestly think if we're grounded, if we're centered, if we're, just being aware and present, we're supporting anybody, whether they have ADHD or not.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
comes back to like what you talked about with the kids, right? If
mhm.
I'm regulated, I can support the kids. If I'm looked after, I could support the kids if that's what they need.
Wow. That's like pretty big, because I think a lot of people don't recognize even just vocalizing, supporting another human,
Yeah. Well,
right? Like it sounds basic, but it's something that's really missing these days.
but honestly, like if I had a partner and they forgot to do things all the time, yes, I'm well aware of ADHD, right? Well
Yeah.
aware.
Yeah.
But if they forgot where the keys were, if they forgot, how to do something, this morning I forgot my laptop charger and I knew I was in a meeting with you and I was like, what if I need it? Like I could probably get through my days of work, but can I, get through this without it? And so like, and all that went through my head was like people who wouldn't support, who would be like, why are you so dumb to forget that?
Yeah.
Like if you're grounded and centered in yourself, what does it matter if I forgot something? What impact
Yes.
does it have on you?
Yeah.
Or why couldn't you be there to say, hey, normally you put it in your bag, or, something that's kind and compassionate.
Yes. Yes. I love that. Um, you know, it's just making me think, for a lot of folks, they don't know that I moved away from Regina. I now live in Manitoba.
Yeah.
Now, it was very quick, right? It was like an 8-week period and boom, we're here. So I was closing up shop, packing, doing all the renos, all these things. And I was multitasking like a mother. It was crazy. Okay. And I'll never forget Lori. I was talking to her on the phone. She said, hey, like, I know how much you're managing right now. And I see how incredible you're doing with it. I just want to say, like, I'm really impressed that you're able to do all that. And I started crying so hard because it was the first time somebody acknowledged and understood how hard one fraction of that for an ADHD person was.
Mhm.
Whereas I was managing all these fractions, and it's always stuck with me
Mhm.
because I find a lot of us are like workaholics in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
We're
100%.
multitasking, right? But we don't stop for people to say, wow, I can't believe you're doing all that.
You know what's funny? Because I've been going through this weekend too. Like, I wasn't good, and I'm blaming the Blue Jays loss, but it's either the full moon or the Jays loss, right? And not one person has said like, "Hey, Alannah, how are you?" And I'm like, and I always pay attention to this, and I'm like, it drives me absolutely up the wall. Like, my mom lives in the basement. She comes upstairs every day. Does she ask me how I am? Nope. Like, no. Like, there, you know
Wow.
what? So, like, when you hear those things that somebody showed up, took the time, showed up for you, acknowledged, yes, she knew you were doing all those things, right?
Yeah.
And I know for me, if you were telling me that same story, I wouldn't have inserted myself because maybe I didn't feel like I have the connection, or like that isn't my place, or
Mm-hmm.
there's those things. But again, it comes back to being in a place that you're grounded within yourself, that you're in your parasympathetic nervous system. So you can just be like, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
I can't help you right now, but I can see all the stuff you're doing. Right. I did it with a
Oh,
parent today. Like, you know what? I'm proud of you. Like, you just navigated a hard phone call that I didn't want to do with somebody in person. And I like doing things in person. Like,
yeah.
it was just all, and she just was like, thank you. And I'm like, this shouldn't be
Oh,
abnormal. Like,
God. Like, as a parent, like, we are navigating so many challenges with ADHD children, or being ADHD, trying to manage.
yeah.
And I cannot believe the amount of attacks, stigma, and judgment I get. And I, as a parent, because it comes back to us, people really target, if your child isn't in alignment, it's coming back to the parents, right? So I just want people to also recognize too, to release judgment, because there's always a lot bigger picture happening at play.
Yeah. There's a huge strength that has to come from being a parent of somebody with ADHD in today's world, especially, right? Like, we're
Yes.
seeing it so much. And you have to be a big advocate. The school systems aren't built for they're not built for neurodivergent kids, but they're especially not built for them today in what we know would support and help a neurodivergent kiddo. So it's just, there's so much advocacy and so much strength and so much doing things that are not easy for neurodivergent people to do, like communicating and processing and all of that stuff. And so it is, and that in itself is like, okay, there's a grief in that. Your child is amazing, but it's just like, if they could have been normal, then I wouldn't have to do all this work, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But can we just celebrate the parents? Like, if you know parents who
Yeah,
are navigating that, can we just give them like recognition once in a while? Because I cannot tell you how impactful that can be.
yeah. I,
It
I know so many
literally.
parents who have had to fight school systems and um, whatever other systems, healthcare, all of the things,
Mm,
because their kiddos need, like maybe they do have ADHD, maybe they have ADHD and autism. Like, they're just fighting so many wars out there, and it takes a lot of strength, because again, they usually have ADHD themselves, and so it takes a lot, which is
Gosh.
also a great strength in the sense, because people with ADHD are very empathetic, they're very passionate, they're very, the hyper,
Yes.
like, I'm gonna help my kid because they mean a lot to me. But again, it is a lot of wear and tear on that individual to
Wow.
do that.
And not only that, even the medical system, because there's certain elements that you have to go through before you can receive the right support.
And they don't know. It's no different, like when you women who are going through perimenopause, and like they don't have much education on it. So again, our medical professionals typically just have the little bit that they learned in whatever university they took whenever they took it, and they don't understand how it shows up in females. They don't understand how it looks today. And again, those systems and those the procedures or the assessments, they were made for boys, right? It's been in the last like
Wow.
8 years, I think there's been a lot more research done, especially around perimenopause for women, and just what it looks like in females.
Well, I noticed there's a lot more communication and recognition around it now, which is so great to see,
Yeah,
because it just feels like so many people are getting education around it, whereas before it felt very hush hush.
yeah. Well, and the part is that many people with ADHD feel like they're different. Like they
Yeah.
walk through life feeling like they're different. And so it is, it's that piece alone, all of that information coming up, that those people get to go, like, I'm not as different.
Mhm.
My group that I have, especially for women, is like, um, that's what happens, is that that's the best part. It doesn't matter what I say throughout the whole day.
Yeah. Yeah.
The best part is that however many women are sitting in that circle and talking, they all go like, at least I'm not alone. And I've learned, like they learned, and they have a sense of community. I don't know if they talk to each other afterwards. I had one group that was amazing, and that their connection was just, yeah, they probably could have connected every week for the next 100 years, but
Wow.
they just find that, like, hey, this, like, I'm not, there's not something wrong with me. I'm just built this way. And look at, there's Frida and Sally and Joe and all these other people that are navigating the same things as me.
Oh, that would be so incredible and powerful not to feel isolated.
Yeah.
And just have validation and recognition in that experience of different pieces of yourself, but not from your communication of yourself. I love that.
But the most important part is that they have to take the time to do that for themselves.
Mm,
Again,
wow.
they're women who, you have to take that time.
Okay, so we are all taking the course together next time because Opie is showing up. I want to learn more and more because I learned from your Instagram and our conversations and different aspects. I laugh because now every time I have the intent of buying groceries and making a recipe, I can guarantee one of those recipes I did, and the other two, everything else rots. And
Mhm.
now I realize that that's a habit of my ADHD, and that's because of you illuminating that. And I love it.
Like, it's crazy. Like it is.
Right?
And I think that has been, when we look at diagnosis and we look at those things, that's been the best part for me, is just I can accept that.
Oh,
Right? Do I want to accept that I have rotten food? No,
yeah.
but I can accept that this is where I'm at, that I might have all of this excitement to do this thing, but now I have no energy to do it. Right? Um,
Yes.
and again, not having a body double or a person, and those things makes it a little bit more difficult too. But again, it's just finding some acceptance in it and understanding it. If I didn't understand it, I'd probably just be a angry Irish woman, like, honestly.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. So the power comes from the knowledge
Yeah.
and understanding yourself or how to understand others. And really, that's the basis of everything, right?
Yeah.
I love
I think
it.
so.
So, is there anything else that you want to illuminate for people in this conversation with ADHD that you feel like is important for them to hear or understand?
One of the things that we often hear is like, people don't want the label, they don't want the state, like all of those pieces. And to me, it is that understanding, right?
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, and this plays into my addiction recovery too, like, I am Alannah. Like, there is no piece of me that is like ADHD or recovery or addiction, or I'm Alannah. And all of those pieces make my story and make me who I am today. And so if you can have a little bit of understanding of your story and who you are, you're still like Opie, you're still whoever you are. But this helps you navigate the world in a way that is more enlightening or more fun or more free or more whatever. And
Oh,
I think that's one of the biggest things.
I love you.
That's twice. I love you too.
I'm like, oh, it just made me feel seen and heard. I just can't even. And I just like, it's so validating hearing this information and for other people to understand, this is just an aspect of who we are, and you are still incredible.
You know what? And I just thought of something too the other night. Like we had that ADHD awareness because October was an ADHD awareness month, and we had that awareness night. And every person that was speaking was an entrepreneur and successful in their business or working their business successfully. And there's so many people who are struggling. And it is so great to see that, hey, you know what? You can still be something and someone and basically do whatever you want to. So for those people that are struggling with ADHD, it's just it's finding how to make your ADHD work for you, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
like seeing like there could be like if I wish I was sitting in the crowd as a younger version of me going, oh, look at the hope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in that sense.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. That is powerful. Where can everybody find you, and make sure that we can know when your workshops are going, okay? Because that is like very important. We will be posting them in the community as well anytime you have a workshop so people can access and go to that link.
Well, in person, likely January 2026. They seem to run better in January. I don't know. And it's a 1 day workshop. It used to be 6 weeks, but now we put it into 1 day because that was a request. And then it's being made into an online course if we can get that all navigated. So 1 day it'll be online for people as well. I can be found on Instagram. Uh,
Good.
yeah, Alannah Boyle YQR, I believe is the handle.
Yes.
There's a website. There's lots of different versions of me. Yeah.
Love that. That's
And
incredible.
you know what? Like to be fair and to be honest, I'm always willing for questions for like, hey, you know what? There's a bunch of parents who want some more parenting support. I'm always willing to talk about ADHD and to support people in whatever need and
Mm.
capacity they have. And so sometimes it's just being made aware of that's what we need so that that can be made for them, right?
That's amazing. I love that. I love that. And I love the discussions you have as well. And you always share that on your page so people can take part in your podcast that you've been on and different things,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. We do
Yay.
lots of things.
Yes. I love it. I love it. Alannah, thank you so much for holding space with us and just sharing that perspective. I'm going to have some more conversations with you because you are a fascinating individual, and there's a lot to share because I find that grief shows up in all these different capacities. I wanted to check too before we tuned off, what has grief really taught you about yourself?
I did prepare for this answer. What it when we talked about that journey of grief and how it shows up, that it has taught me that one, I love,
Yeah.
two, that it never is ending.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just hard, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely very complex situation.
It is. And you know what? And that's one of the reasons why I love the way I believe in life, because like we talked about, like that's how we met.
Yeah.
And that was, I think that was it, like was finding someone like you where I could connect and connect to my loved ones who had passed. And that just made it easier for me in a sense.
Yeah, it kind of gives you a comfort, hey?
Yeah, that's exactly what I felt. Like, it was just like, that just hit me.
Right? Yeah,
Like,
sorry. It's a comfort and like a closure kind of moment that you just kind of seek in that path. I just
yeah. And so like it also like gave me like that belief in those things also. It's almost like I can reach out to them anytime I want to, if that's what, in that
yeah.
sense. And so yeah, grief teaches so much, like the resiliency that I could show up in spaces, I can hold people, I can, you know, and the the most difficult part of grief is that it's never the same,
Yeah.
right? And so I think that's the most, it is never the same. I lost 3 uncles within 5 years, and it was each one of them was completely different in how I handled grief, how my family members handled grief, and we're all from the same family, you know?
Yes.
So, it just it's forever teaching because it's never the same. So if somebody close to me passes, like, like it's yeah, they'll be
That's
like, "Oh, hi. This is a
right.
of myself."
It really does teach you a lot about yourself too, hey, and your
Yeah,
connections in that
yeah,
too.
yeah.
It's very powerful emotional experience in our life, but it's
Mhm.
also, I really believe, kind of being the human that we are, and it shows the different levels of that. It's very powerful.
I know one of my things through the grief pieces in these recent years is like, am I doing this right? Like that's the question that comes
Oh,
up. Like, um, because they are so different, you
yes.
like, am I doing this right? This isn't how how I felt with this uncle, and this is how, like all of these things. And so, yeah. And grief, like, because it can be through like just losing people. So my dad
Yeah.
was never in my life, right? So there's always been a grief component to that. And so like
Yeah.
there's always, it does. It's just it's an interesting emotion and journey for sure.
I find what always throws me is when it shows up, because it's
Oh,
never expected.
no.
Right? Like it's random moments, and you can be in public and I find that I have to turn away because I'm flooded with tears, and everybody would not see that impactful
Yeah.
flick of the switch, right? So you
For me, it's usually laughing at inappropriate times. That's where my
oh,
grief
that's
shows up. Yeah.
I'm
Like I don't
terrible at
cry much.
that.
So like, yeah, like it's like, are you kidding me right now? Like, why? Why are we crying right now or laughing right now? Like, why?
Right?
Why would we do that?
I have to explain to my husband, because sometimes when things happen, my deflect is instant laughter in the most inappropriate, and I apologize after because I'm like, that was a reflex. That was a reflex. God bless his
Oh
soul.
yeah. Like we're all programmed, right? And it's trying to get rid of some of that programming and
Gosh. And
yeah,
then what do you think has been the hardest part of the grief component for you with that? Like, what do
feeling
you
it.
feeling it, like sitting in it?
Yeah. And not not I'm trying to say not having the support that I needed, but that's not true either. Like it's just
Interesting.
like again, like I've been a person who will go do what she needs to do, right?
Yeah.
Like my my mom gets angry. I'm like, I reach out to you kind of thing, right? Like my like I don't know what family members would want to go see a psychic medium, but I leave that open for them as well, right? Like in that
Yeah.
sense. But because my mom gets angry, she shuts down and she's typically my person. So then it's like,
So she goes to Opie.
oh yeah, so it's not that I don't like, it's just again, I grew up in a family that we don't say I love you, we don't hold each other, like we don't like
Yeah.
there's a lot of disconnect in that sense. But um I've learned to tell myself, you know, like they do love me, like all of that stuff. Like, and again, it's just finding the way to work through it. And if I have to, then find other supports, right? Whether it's you
Yeah.
or therapy or whatever else it is that I need to do. and doing those things.
That's incredible. I really love that. That's so true. And I think that's the important part, is that we never feel alone in it. And it's our responsibility to reach out for
Yeah.
the support system that works best for us. And I always encourage people, try until you get something that feels on point.
Yeah. And like
Right?
there's times that like it's like watch a movie. It's so my one uncle passed and I was with a bunch of people at a business retreat and I cried because I felt safe enough to cry, but I didn't cry enough. But I was
Oh,
driving, and so I listened to songs that would, and that wasn't a great idea because I had a bunch of like other things that came up when that happened. Um, so like it's doing, sometimes it's just letting it out. Like you don't
mm,
like so many of us think that we need people or we need support, but we need ourselves. We need the best version of ourselves to look after ourselves, I think, most of the time. Instead of blaming whether it's a healthcare system or a person or a whatever, right? Like if we come back
yes.
here and find those things to look after ourselves, because we're
And
going to get the answer we need.
and give yourself permission to hold space with it.
Yeah.
Because there's always an excuse to deflect. There's always an
Yeah.
excuse to stay busy, but you have to give yourself permission
And
to
maybe not while we're
breathe.
driving. Maybe
Yeah,
not, right?
right? No,
And
and
that's
it's
and you know
yeah.
what? I'm glad you said it the way you did because what happened for me growing up, I looked after people. So my grandma broke her hip. I looked after her. Why am I looking after my grandmother? Like there's these things. And so like I think when I was driving, that's probably why I thought I had to cry then. Because I felt like I
Oh,
had to go look afterwards. And
wow.
yeah. So
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
That's interesting. Hey. Yeah, and you really do have to give yourself space for that, because it'll show up and it'll keep coming.
But let's bring back ADHD. Had I actually never been diagnosed with ADHD, I probably would have been more caretaky or more people pleasing in those situations. Where
Yeah.
now I come back to, no, I need to do this for me. And now then I'll show up for you.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. Hey, I
Yeah,
still struggle with that.
of course.
Right? Everybody does. Like it, and I just want people to know that it's okay. We are not meant to be perfect, but it's also a reflective component too, to look back and see like how we can navigate that differently if it shows up again. Hey?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that we're all learning, folks. We're all here together. I am a forever student.
Oh, yeah. It's the best part about life, actually, I think, Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, listen, I am so grateful to have this conversation with you, Alannah. Thank you so much. Everyone, I want you to go explore her Instagram. I want you to check out her website, and I want to see you at the next workshop with me, because I'm going to be there. That is going to
I'm
be
holding you to
number
this now.
one, right? 2026, I am learning who I am finally. So thank you again, Alannah. And everyone, you guys have a great day. Make sure to press like and leave a comment.